Welcome back to Raiders headquarters, everyone. Your Vegas Nation crew here. Cassie, Soto, and Vinny Bonsignore on day 2, but technically day 1, Vinny, of training camp for these Raiders players. We got to see them on the field. What stood out to you this morning, very early morning here in Henderson, Nevada?
I liked what I saw from the defensive depth, especially along the defensive line. You can see now that it's so much more. There's more length on that defensive line. When you've got now Cleve Farrell coming off basically the bench, along with Carl Nassib on the other side, Solomon Thomas, Matt Dickerson as the defensive tackles, and then you go to that starting unit with what looked to be Max Crosby, Yannick Ngakoue, Quentin Jefferson, and Jonathan Hankins. All of a sudden, you're starting to talk about what looks to be a pretty good rotation, and I think it all starts up front for the Raiders. And if they can develop some chemistry, depth, skill sets from that group, and it looks like they have, I think it's going to put their defense in a lot better place this year.
Yeah, well, let's move on to the offense now. Henry Ruggs, a guy that we got to see up close and personal. He came into the press conference room, spoke to the media after practice. This is a guy that looked visibly bigger, and he says people have told him he looked bigger. He put on 13 pounds in the offseason, Vinny. Why is that important? As he says now he's in a grown man's game.
Well, and not only that, but he had the guns covered, and Derek Carr was talking about how he might have to entice Henry to show everybody the gun. So there's something that he's hiding underneath there, underneath the long sleeve shirts. But that's a good thing for the Raiders. And I think for any young player, and especially a rookie last year who was coming off, there was no off season, no OTA programs, so he didn't get a chance to really see what he might need to do physically to be able to compete on a day in and day out basis at this level back in the spring of 2020. Well, he certainly got an up-close look at that during the season, and it registered in him that, hey, I need to get bigger. You get bigger, stronger, more explosive, because this is a whole other world in the NFL compared to the SEC in Alabama, as good as that conference is. And he understood, I need to get bigger to compete with these grown men. And not just physically, but being able to utilize his speed a little bit better, be able to be more explosive. That comes with strength. So the good news is he not only understood it, but he put the time in during the offseason to work on it, and he looks like a visibly bigger, and we'll see if that translates to more explosive player.
This is the only time I feel you can tell somebody, hey, you look bigger.
Right.
Right? Like, don't tell me that. Nobody tell me that.
Exactly.
Cass, did you put on some pounds in the offseason?
There would be some fisticuffs.
Exactly. Well, sticking with the offense here, Andre James, a guy that he said he never played center in college, Vinny, now is taking over the role of what was probably one of the greatest centers in Raiders, franchise history, Rodney Hudson, a guy that was here that built a very great relationship with Derek Carr. Coming in now, how do you feel he is setting himself up for success?
Well, what you feel is like the Raiders are confident that he's going to be able to make that move. I always tell this story when I was covering the Rams. They had a linebacker by the name of Alec Ogletree coming off like 3 straight 90 to 100 tackle seasons. And because of money, they needed to move him, or were thinking about moving him. And Sean McVay called Joe Barry, their linebackers coach, and Joe Barry told me the story. And Sean says to him, "Hey, look, we may have to move Alec Ogletree. Please tell me we have somebody in the background that could take his job, that can fill in for that role." And Joe said, "Yes, we do." And that guy was Corey Littleton, and he ended up being a Pro Bowl linebacker. So, you don't want to lose a Rodney Hudson, but if there's confidence that behind the scenes they're working on an heir apparent, and that's what they were doing these last 2 years with Andre James, you can make that move much more confidently, and that seems to be the case with Andre James. Now he has to go out there and show it on a down-in, down-out basis, but thus far it looks like he's off to a good start.
All right, well, day 1 officially for the players. We will be back here all week, the next couple of weeks here, Vinny, covering all things Raiders. Check us out at vegasnation.com for all of your latest Raiders training camp coverage. For Vinny Bonsignore, I'm Cassie Soto. We'll see you next time.